Hello there, and welcome to the very first episode of a new little sub show of the Not Good Enough umbrella that I'm starting called Not Good Enough Anime. I'm David, co host of the original Not Good Enough podcast, and I've started this show to showcase some of the anime I've watched and have a little discussion on my thoughts and likes/dislikes on the shows I've watched. Now, a little backstory on my anime preferences. I started watching anime about 5 years ago, starting out on the OG Dragon Ball, then moving on to finish the Dragon Ball series, only expanding into other anime when Super was finished in 2018. So, in terms of anime watching, I'm relatively new, but I've quickly caught up to some of my friends. I'm also very picky with anime, prefer dubs thanks to Dragon Ball Super's Toppo with his known as Hakai bullshit in the Tournament of Power arc. Nowadays, I've only been watching mature, in quotation, anime, thanks to my testosterone levels rising and titties looking rather succulent in anime. So that's my history with that. So let's go ahead and dig right into this gem. On this very first episode, we're talking about High School DxD, an anime that was first ran in 2008 and as of 2020 has 4 seasons and apparently a new one is in the works from what I've seen. Amassing a rather big fan base, there's not many people that I know that have watched this show and not liked it for what it is. I will admit that the main reason I watched the show was because it was number one in a list of top 25 anime with nudity that I have saved on my phone. Judge me later. But besides coming into the show with high nipple expectations, I got much more than I expected, in a good way. The show manages well, in my opinion, raunchiness, story, and serious moments. Something that I love that I don't get enough of in the comedy slash etchies that I fill my watch list with is serious character moments. The show provides me with a good amount of that desire, thank you. High School DxD starts out with a young high school boy named Issei who gets tricked by a fallen angel and killed before being brought back to life as a devil by a gorgeous double D redhead named Race. He is now learning his new routine as a devil, fighting and making pacts while also becoming stronger and scoping out for any titties on the loose. Issei is just like any other teenager. Where the titties show, the penis goes. While his dream is to become a harem king, it is very clear, at least in my eyes, that from the jump, Race was the main girl. This gets a little muddy though when early into season 1, Issei meets Asuya, a nice and caring young girl that he helps show around town. They have cute little character moments, and just when it seems like happiness is struck, it is revealed that Asuya is a fallen angel, and it causes some drama between the devil group Issei is a part of. Now I'm leaving off a ton of stuff, and to be honest, it's not only because I'm not trying to spoil very big points just yet, but because I'm pretty shitty at explaining. I do bring up this story point though because it did something that I was not expecting. It highlighted Issei's willingness to act even through his current lack of skill and power. It humanizes him to a character that acts in selflessness through though his intentions, a majority of the time, are personally dirty. After a big emotional and physical conflict, Issei makes it his mission to become stronger and fight to protect his dream and his friends. Little does he know that he is destined to be the strongest thanks to his substantial position. He's the main character of an anime. And although he does get a ton of power basically handed to him, the show demonstrates that his commitment to improve was a quality he has had from day one. Now, on the other spectrum of that, the comedy the show offers from the jump is top notch. My opinion isn't shit, but the jokes have me rolling, not gonna lie. The main one that is still stuck on my mind is fairly early in season 1. After first becoming a devil, Race explains to Issei that he has to go out and answer summons to then form a pack. She also informs him that he can teleport to the summons location, which Issei is rather happy to find out about. Well, after opening up the portal, he tries to teleport and predictably the teleportation fails. That's not the funny part though. The hilarity comes in when Issei says 2 words, and these words are the fuck. 2 words. 2 words, and I was tearing the fuck up from laughter. And rewinding that bitch about 5 times to make sure this man really did say the fuck. A couple of my friends got texted after that, and yeah, it might not seem to garner a chuckle from some of you, but I don't give a fuck. You weren't there. Now going on to some spoiler territory. Ooh, I'll be going on to some of the specific points that made and that ruined the show for me. I'll be excluding the 4th season because that topic is a topic on its own. First off is the stakes from each season. Now, arguably, most shows have the stakes getting bigger and bigger moving into a new season, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but at times they can deviate from what made the show immersive and quote unquote good. And yes, High School DxD does have bigger and bigger stakes, but I feel that the story progresses to that direction as naturally as they can with little, well, the shit is like this now. Season 1 ends with Issei sacrificing his arm to achieve Balance Breaker to rescue Race from marrying the wrong penis. Season 2 ends with Issei meeting his destined rival Volley and having a quick battle before having a realization that to save everybody even harder, he must fully embrace the plot armor and become even stronger. Lastly, season 3 ends with a giant battle where Issei goes full on main character and holds his head down while decimating everything around him. Very orgasming experience to say the least. Again increasing the stakes, if I could speak correctly, but also getting arguably better with every season. Another thing I love, thanks to my horniness, no doubt, was the animation. The titties were exquisite, but not only just that, imagine, the rest of it was looking great too. The fights, the nudity, the colorful scenes, everything. It pleased me to look at the show. The titties were a great help too, though. The last positive I want to state that I touched on earlier was the show's handling of Issei's pure journey to getting some pussy and his dedication to protect his closest friends. Now, one thing I expected from this kind of anime is an overwhelming mixing of action and getting some play. Now, this anime does a lot, and even though it breaks immersion and serious moments at times, it isn't shy to let the character be serious when need be. Just the end of each season is filled with damn near relatable emotional moments. But at the end of the day, Issei's motivation to grab and poke racist breasticles is ultimately the most relatable and important aspect to the story. Now, I've talked a lot about how good Highschool DxD is, and you might have even thought the episode was sponsored by them. But, Sally, no. This show pissed me off almost as much. This is mostly due to the handling of Season 4. Disclaimer for before I begin, I don't read manga, and yes, I know I am a scum. I already know. Season 4 of this anime was handled by a different company than the previous seasons, and off the bat, just watching the first episode, subsequently called Episode 0, I noticed something very, very different. And boy, was I not pleased. The animation style was completely different due to them wanting it to be more in line with the art style of the manga. I don't mind having the anime being similar to the manga, but I felt like maybe they should have bet on that one. It's very odd watching 3 seasons in a row of a show while absolutely loving the art style, as stated before, so they can just change it to what I consider a very noticeable downgrade. Faces look chubbier, it looks way too smooth, and somebody was fucking around with that transparency button way too much. The only positive thing I saw in the art style with season 4 were the nipples. A good budget was spent on them, bad boys, and I want to thank the decision maker for that. Thank you. But I was also disappointed, so I slightly take it back. I'm sorry. Not even just that, episode 0 retconned the ending of the previous season, which is a what the fuck decision, but then the whole season seems like a step back in Issei's relationship with Race. From what I can recall, both of them were doing great, but the biggest conflict this season is Race is sensitive to Issei's calling of her being president. He basically calls her president, which he's not done in previous seasons, but this is a big problem in this season. So she feels like he doesn't like her anymore. Would be an interesting plot line, for sure, if Issei wasn't calling a race the whole fucking series prior to that. Like, what? What the fuck? Why make that an issue now? Why not literally any time before? Or better yet, back in season 1 when Race was playing favorites and Issei was seeing her as his quote unquote savior. I don't completely dislike this season 4 because then again, not only were the nipples improved, but it ended with both main characters confessing officially their love for one another. I completely believe the show would have been better if chronologically season 4 was moved to season 2 and the current season 2 and 3, be moved up 1, respectively. Just would have flowed a bit better in my eyes. Regardless of the mishaps, though, I feel this show has. I am excited for any new anime content for Highschool DxD, and I hope many of you are as well. Definitely a must-watch anime for fans of ecchis and mature comedies. In terms of scale, I would rate it a 7.5 out of 10. In terms of nipple rating, it's a 9 out of 10 for sure. I thank all of you for listening to my meaningless thoughts and would be glad to hear your thoughts on Highschool DxD, which you could leave on our YouTube page or at me and Andy's website, notgoodenoughpodcast.weebly.com. Thank you for your time, and always remember, if it's not good enough, it'll never be good enough. Take it easy, ladies and gentlemen.